All right, everyone. Let's do some talking about Nightmare of the Wolf, which is a Witcher spin off animated movie that's currently streaming on Netflix. I just watched this like literally last night, and I had a good time. The story is about Vesemir, who's one of the other Witchers, not Geralt, who everyone knows. Um, and it's kind of like his. I want to say it's his origin story is the way I would put this film. It's a lot. It shows you a lot of the backstory about like, um, you know, the Witchers and how they're made and or how they were made, and kind of some of the darker elements of that, and a little bit more of like their day to day stuff. Um, and kind of how he became a Witcher and why he wanted to be and what he did with his time and why he is the way he is. I'm assuming moving it. Well, I'm not assuming. I know he's going to be in season two and going to be a big part of season two. So showing, I feel like it was a good drop for them to show this to give people context for season two, especially those who are not like hardcore fans of The Witcher and don't really know what's going on with that. Now, I personally am not a hardcore Witcher fan. I do enjoy it. Don't get me wrong. I really like the first season of the show. I have read all of the main series books. So like I knew kind of about these events, but only from like people talking about them as they had happened in the past, not like getting to see them. I think is like a short story about this. Um but overall, this movie was fun. There was a lot of cool things in it. I think it gave a lot of depth and characterization to Vesemir, which is great because that's a great setup for your next season, and I think they knew that. And I think they wanted to like one, they want to cash in. Like, let's be honest, they want to cash in on The Witcher. They know it's popular, and they know they're gonna make money off of it. So they want to produce as much content for that as they can. But they also want, to. I feel like a big critique of the first season was like it was hard for like casual viewers to get into it because they didn't have the context of how the story was, which we'll talk about the first series on this channel as well in a little bit. And this kind of gives like the casual viewer a chance to like get some context before the second season comes out of who this man is, because I'm sure they're not gonna go super in depth like they did here to explain it. Huge pro. I mean, the biggest pro was Vesemir himself. That was the coolest thing. I think getting to see the Trial of the Grasses was really cool. Um, I think the opening scene of this movie is really fantastic because it basically sets the tone for how violent this is going to be. I actually was not like I knew since it's a Witcher thing, it's going to be violent and bloody, but I wasn't expecting as gory and gruesome in this animation as I got. So I'm, you know, I'm glad they did that to make it so like I was like, "Oh, okay, we're going like this. Okay, gotcha." Um so I think that was really good. I thought that did a good job of setting the tone of the film. Now, let's get into some critiques. I think my biggest thing about this was that I wanted more. Like honestly, like I think this would have been better as like a 6 episode mini series that was just one season. It was 6 episodes of animation, just to give it a little bit more, because that would be what you say 20 minutes an episode, so that's 2 hours instead of an hour and a half, maybe an 8 episode or 10 episode season. um I think giving this a little bit more time to breathe than the hour and a half that we get would have been interesting, because um while Vesemir was super well developed and I felt like they did a good job of like showing his story, the conflict with I can't remember her name, the mage, the sorceress. I feel like the conflict with her felt very like forced, and I wanted, like, they do hints about it, and I'm sure that, you know, hardcore fans know, like, oh, this is exactly how it happens, like, because I'm pretty sure there's a short story or a story that takes place in this exact time. um but I wanted more from her character, a lot more. I wanted to know more about her past, which we get. You know, Witchers, I think, killed her mother or something along that lines, and that's like hinted at and talked about. But they go on like a little side. I don't want to say side quest, but they go on like a quest together. Uh, During this movie, like there's a lot of events that take place during this movie. And that felt very much like it needed to be longer. Like we needed to see them in conflict, and then I felt like by the end of that, to me, the way the tone was set with them is that, like, yeah, we don't necessarily like each other and we don't agree with each other, but we can work together. And like that's not what they were going for. They were definitely going for these should be antagonistic forces. And I felt like throughout the whole time they were traveling together, it did not feel like they were, you know, they didn't like each other. They were very much like working together, and they seemed perfectly fine and acceptable. So I didn't win. Like, she's like, yeah, I didn't really change my mind. I'm still super hateful of the Witchers. I was like, okay, then why did we need this journey with the two of them? Like, it felt like a waste of time because that's how she already was, and there was no change in her mentality, even though she spent time closely with a Witcher, which I thought was kind of weird that there was nothing that developed there at all. Like if you're not gonna do that, then don't show that. And I think that's part of what like could have been really interesting if we had more time to work with it, because we could have gotten her perspective, and maybe she does, you know, she works with Vesemir and she realizes like, hey, this guy isn't so bad, but maybe I haven't changed my convictions because I can't let go of the past. So I'm going to keep going forward with what I have to do anyway. That would have been pretty interesting, and I would have liked to see that a lot. Other than that, like, man, like, I don't usually talk about, like, I'm mostly focused on, you know, talking about story elements and writing on this channel. But the animation in this movie is fantastic. The fight scenes are super interesting, and the end fight is like really cool to watch. And I know that that's not easy stuff to animate. Those are usually very expensive, so you can tell like they definitely invested into this movie quite a bit. Like, it looks clean and the fights look good. I kind of want them to do more of these, honestly, because I really enjoyed this movie a lot. But with that being said, we'll see. You know, we'll see what they do. I'm really excited to see the second season of The Witcher show, and we'll see how I feel about that and how other people feel about that. So that's gonna be it for this one. If you enjoyed it, didn't enjoy it, want to talk about it, post comments down below. Like the video if you liked me talking about it, or, you know, don't. Doesn't matter. And be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching.